Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of a little series I'm hoping to do. Basically, I'm gonna be talking to different top players about the different deck archetypes they play. And today I'm here with Tricey and we're gonna be talking about his blue control deck. Hello,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good. It's not too bad. I just lost in the final of a tournament, but yeah, it's going all right otherwise.
That's good to hear. So, for your blue control deck, what is the basics of a blue control deck?
I think any blue control deck, the main things are getting rid of the opponent's creatures, and as much as possible, getting and keeping cards in your hand. So things that you'll typically see in every blue control deck are the other side looter to get cards, flame blast, the 3 mana 2 damage. Sometimes people run quite a few of the fire bolt as well, the other basic card which is 1 mana 1 damage.
I
Um,
never liked Fireball that much because it seems like so low impact. The
yeah, I got rid of mine as well because I found there were other cards that I could use to do the 1 damage instead. But I think the other major ones that people will run are stuff like Meteor Shower, which is really nice because it'll do the 2 damage to anything under 5, and if they've got more than you on the board, you get a Firebolt in your hand and take 1 damage. So it helps if they're kind of getting ahead.
so is Meteor Shower just straight up better than the other 3 mana deal 2 damage spell? Or do
Uh,
you split them up? Or do you just play 8?
I split them up. I ideally want to run 2 of each. I currently only have 1 Meteor Shower. So I
Okay.
think I either run, off the top of my head, 2 Flame Blast and 1 Shower, or 3 Flame Blast and 1 Shower. The reason I split them up is because Meteor Shower will only affect creatures level 5 or less. And obviously, if they're playing some level 6 stuff that I want to hit, then I need the Flame Blast.
Yeah. Does it come up often that you need to hit level 6 creatures? W-
Sometimes, if I play my Double Agent, which is another often used card in blue control, then if I want to get rid of my own Double Agent that I just gave them, I'll need Flame Blast rather than Meteor Shower if I can't kill it off some other way.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so blue control decks, they rely a lot on card draw. Which card draw spells do you prefer in your blue control deck?
I got quite lucky during the raid event, and I was able to get 10 of the blue raid card.
I'm so jealous. So
Um,
what is it called again?
it's called Brilliant Wisdom, and it's 3 mana cast, and essentially you draw 2 extra cards at the beginning of your next turn.
Yeah,
Um,
that seems like it's the cheapest way to net 2 cards in the game, as far as I know.
yeah, as the same as far as I'm aware as well. However, there are obviously a lot of other options for blue card draw. I don't necessarily think that all of them are great. The one that I would say is the best if you aren't able to get your hands on the raid one is Spell Recovery, which I think 4 of them come in the 30k pre-made deck.
It's a
Um,
common, so
it's a
it's
common
not
anyway, so yeah,
shouldn't be too hard to get. I don't
it's
know,
four
for
mana,
4
draw two.
mana, I see, wouldn't stairs be better?
I'm not a fan of stairs because of the random discard effect.
Oh,
Um,
so,
I mean,
yeah,
in
the
in
random,
essence, you still get 2 cards, but you might discard something that you don't want. I had someone play it against me. I had the option of counterspelling it. I decided to go against it because I had enough board presence and I wanted to save it in case he drew something which he could then use. And yeah, he used Climb the Stair, and his random discard was the Archsage Moonring, um,
ouch.
which made me laugh, so I
S-
print screened it.
yeah. Speaking of Sage of Moonring, do you like it in blue control decks?
Yeah, I love it. I wish I had two. I only have one. I'm not finding that I think an extra one would be really useful, but it is just a really, really good option to have, especially in blue mirrors when they play. If you need to get rid of a looter, especially, or if you need to get rid of several things which are slightly damaged, maybe they have a Master of Mind which is on 2 and something else which is on 1. It's a nice way of getting rid of things that you wouldn't be able to get rid of normally, and it's sort of a really good version of Alchemist and Dual casting all in one.
Yeah, I don't. I don't play blue, I play black, and I hate the Sage because it
Yeah,
kills Pale Blue Moon.
absolutely. Yeah,
I,
the fact that I mean, yeah, I mean, as opposed to stuff where you
and
can.
there's no way to respond to it to flip it or anything.
That's
It
right.
just
Like white, yeah, white can't cure, black can't flip. It's really good. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Um.
I, so
Carry on.
if we go back to the draw spells, I see a lot of blue players play Lossless Deal.
Yeah, I think that's quite a nice one. But I don't think it's the greatest card in the world. However, um, when compared to some of the other blue draws, it's nice in that it doesn't give them cards because stuff like Strange Care and Price of Alliance, you draw cards, but you also give them a card, which isn't always the greatest.
And for me, the biggest appeal to the trap is the fact that Lossless Deal, you can play it for 1 mana early game, so it reduces the number of like low drops you have to play in your deck,
Yep,
and then you just, if you need to cycle it, you can do it in an emergency,
that's right. Yeah,
and later on you can draw 2 cards. Also, having a trap in play, I mean, blue is not like the best color for traps, so if you see them play a trap and it doesn't cost them life, it's probably Lossless Deal. But they still have a couple of other options that see play from time to time, so it can give you a pause, your opponent a pause.
yeah. I think in terms of blue traps, I think the only really ones used are Lossless Steel, um, the Moon Ladder one, which sort of flips their creatures to the defense zone if they attack you.
Yeah, that's the one I really don't like.
Yeah, I used to use that against because I used to face there was like when there was a lot more honor around. I used to play that,
Mm.
but I've sort of traps are one thing that I've been experimenting with lately. I've put in Hiding Fire because it seems to be the favorite card for traps at the moment. But in terms of blue, I've put in I've been trying to cut down on my fire bolts and 1 drops, so I've put in Explosive Cloud.
Explode, which is
It's an uncommon. It's if a creature is set into the opponent's defense zone while there are 2 or more creatures in his or her defense zone, deal 3 damage to that creature, and it also has an additional effect of 2 mana, deal 1 damage to target creature opponent controls. Um, I don't find that the 3 damage to defenders works that often because they don't always have a lot of defenders, but if they do, then it's a nice touch.
yeah.
But the 2 for 1 damage is nice against things with magic ward or skill ward if you want to get rid of them. And the fact that it works as an instant, because as far as I'm aware, there's no really good 1 damage instance.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the best 1 damage instant I can think of is in black, which is the uh, Conflict of Violet, which gives -1/-1 for 3 mana in a burst. And
Yeah,
after that, there are not many options. But
yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
paying 3 mana for 1 damage, is it actually worth it?
um, it's very rare that I'll play the trap and use the other ability in the same turn. Often I'll play it in maybe an early turn, and then it'll come into use later if I need to do a last bit of damage or something like that. And the other thing is often people will think it's the Moon Ladder and not attack with something that they would otherwise have attacked with first. And it has that benefit as well, as I suppose all traps do.
Yep, I guess that makes sense. So, what other cards are key to the blue archetype?
I think nowadays a lot more people are starting to run counter spells, such as Word of Denial and Magic Absorb. A few weeks ago that just wasn't the case, but now they see quite a lot of play because of lots of people using Party of the Dead and other various burst spells that are just generally really, really good.
Okay, because, well, Party of the Dead has seen play for a while, so something else must have changed recently for people to start running a lot of Word of Denial, because so I'm
I'm
get
seeing it. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it more in Blue Mirrors over the last few days. I don't know whether I'd like to say everybody's just copying me, but I doubt that's the case. There is probably something that people are starting to play that I'm not seeing much of. But then, personally, which is of great annoyance to me, in tournaments lately, I am seeing a lot of Japanese decks as opposed to like
Yeah, I
Your
think
deck,
the
for
word of
instance, or
denial is to deal with all the gimmicky Japanese decks
yeah,
that people are
um,
hating on so much.
it's very good against this new Summon Evil deck that's just popped up from nowhere and is really, really annoying.
Well, Summon Evil has been actually around for a while. I've seen people play it in beta. It's just that everyone agreed that the deck wasn't consistent enough to like consistently let you win, so people
Yeah,
gave
that's
up
right.
on it. But the Japanese, since they figured out, well, it's a grind game and I have the time to grind, might as well play a deck that lets me win quickly and just steal games every so often.
Yeah,
At least that's
absolutely.
how I feel their attitude is to it.
And I think as well they seem to have a lot more disposable income, and a lot of they're able to just fill the deck with tier fives basically, as opposed to free players who wouldn't be able to get their hands on 4 second heads and
Yeah,
4 bloody moons and 4 bloodthirsters, etc.
that makes sense. How is the new counterspell? Does it see a lot of play? What was it called?
It's called Magic Absorb, and I don't know. I suppose I see about the same amount of it as I do Word of Denial. I had an interesting game earlier today where he meteor showered my creature, and I didn't want him to do that because I was going to win next turn, so I used Absorb. He denialed my Absorb. I denialed his denial, and then he denialed my denial, and I had another denial in my hand, but not enough mana to play it.
Well, that's
Uh,
unfortunate.
but I mean, I won a few turns later anyway. But I thought that was quite amusing.
Yes, it is.
Um, I like both. Leaving 4 mana up is very late game. It's
Yeah, that's
Magic
what I'm
Absorb is
thinking of, because the problem with like Magic Absorb and Denial is that you have to have something you would do with that mana that you left up.
yeah. Um, Oftentimes, if I have maybe 5 mana available and I look at my hand, I can maybe play a Hand of Mir, and that would leave 2 mana up, and I might have left that up anyway, just because my hand wouldn't have been cost efficient. I could play a Hand of Mir and leave 2 up rather than a
Yeah,
Master of Mind, and the next turn I can play the Master of Mind and leave 2 up, and I'm not really hindering myself in any way. But Magic Absorb, I never find myself leaving 4 up unless I specifically know that they're going to do something.
that makes sense. I think that's one of the reasons people like Lossless Deal, because once you have it in play, people don't assume you have Magic Absorb.
Yeah. But as I said, this new Mark IV, the Black Clockwork Mark IV, that has a 4 mana activated effect, and if you have that in play and the Magic Absorb in your hand, that's quite nice because they might think you're going to use that, but instead you've got the Magic Absorb.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I have a question, because what one drops do you run in blue? Or do you just skip them altogether?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. This is something that I've sort of been playing around with quite lately. Myself and a crew member, Thanis, who also runs quite a successful blue control, have been arguing lately about blue one drops. We've tried a different number of things. I used to run 3 of the Apprentice Astronomer, which is 1/1 Magic Ward, but I found that too many and they just get eaten regardless of their Magic Ward. I've tried Devotees. I'm not really a fan because if you go first, they're useless, and if
Yeah.
you go second, they're not always great anyway. Um, I think currently our favourite one-drop creature is the Phantom Mage, which is 1/1 Hero Ward, and it has the activated effect of 4 mana to put a Phantasm in play, which is the 2/4 creature. And we like that because obviously it's got Hero Ward, which is great against Mercy decks, which is our natural weakness, and also the 4 mana activated ability. You can hide counter spells in your hand with the pretense of playing this.
Yep, that makes sense. It also is not as horrible a top deck late game as the other
Yeah,
one drops.
yeah,
Be- yeah, because, I mean, I was thinking in terms of other colors. The other colors you have, for black, you obviously have the Rotten Hound
hmm
for the one drop, which is really good late game. And
yeah. I mean,
then,
I think there was a thread on the forums the other day. Blue is the only color which doesn't have a one drop which can transform
well,
into a
to be
3 drop.
fair, black is the only color that plays it, and I don't even see a lot of people playing it. Like, I
Yeah,
love them in my deck, but often than not, people prefer the vampires because they gain you a life,
yeah.
which is a really big deal against the aggro decks.
I like the red one, but it doesn't really fit in any red decks because red decks tend to be rush.
Yes. Okay. And I don't even remember which one, the mercenary on Frontier that puts the the
Yeah,
Harberdier.
puts the thing with the shield into play. Yeah,
Yeah, which they misspelled the name of it
yeah.
in the card. Yep.
But yeah, in terms of one drops, creatures are just not that great for blue in one. So I've been playing around with testing out hiding fire, this explosive cloud. Traps are becoming more my one drop.
Yeah,
Um,
because like I've never seen blue play one drops that I was impressed with. Like yes, Magic Immune can get a bit annoying, but at the end of the day, it's still only a 1/1.
that's right.
Like but yeah, I can see how a 2/4 Phantasm could be actually useful.
The only thing is that when you're not running 1/1s, you do need something to deal with the 1/1s that they drop, and for
Yeah,
that,
well,
I've
that's what I'm
taken.
saying. The one drop that shoots the hero ward that big, like late game, you can always make it into a Phantasm.
Yeah,
That seems like
um,
really useful.
I mean the other option is just to run no 1/1 creatures and play firebolts.
Fireballs, yeah.
But what I've been going with now is I've been using a brand of water, which is the shard that does 1 damage to level 1 or 2 creature on the attack zone, which is useful if you don't have any 1 drops and they are playing 1 drops, so you can just sort of play them
Yeah,
and play as
that
normal.
that is a very annoying card. Like it doesn't really do that much against my deck, but it can stop a lot of decks just cold. Since it's such a big tempo swing to kill their guy
Yeah.
and not spend any mana on it early game.
hmm
Okay, so since we started talking about matchups a bit, let's just... Which is the hardest matchup for your blue deck, do you
Mercy
feel?
of Mercy of Dawn, hands down, because blue's item removal is really bad. It's only, I mean, if you're running the Chimera hero, then there's the deterrent for them to play items until you use the ability. I think the other problem sometimes people have with that is if they play Mercy of Dawn, you use the ability, then they just play another one, or they won't use their Genie Howled effect until afterwards, and it's not great when you can see item removal coming, basically. Um,
Yes, I can
and
see how that can be a problem.
we've got the creature. It's a 4 mana 3/3 Melt Mancer, which it's got the ability of 3 seal all skills of this creature, then move target item opponent controls with level 3 or less to the owner's deck and shuffle. And what I don't like about that is one, it's slow. If you play that and then they play Crusading Knights, you can't do it. Two,
Yeah,
4 mana and then 3 mana the next turn. That's 7 mana
just
and
to
two
deal with a
turns.
3 mana card temporarily
Yeah,
because they can draw it back.
exactly. And the fact that it shuffles it back into the deck rather than destroying it is sort of the icing on the not very nice cake. Um, I used to splash in the. I think we mentioned this in Aristius's podcast that I used to use Conflict of Eron because it had the nice ability of giving courage or healing. But I've sort of shifted to using more magic ward creatures now, so that was a bit useless. And now, on your advice, in fact, I'm using the white trap, which I forget the name of.
Okay.
Protection of Sanctum. Yeah, that's what I'm using now.
So is it working out for you?
It's come in useful once. I played it sort of on turn 1 and 3. They played Mercy. It blew up. They said, "OMG, this game is stupid," and quit. So in that respect, it was funny. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the thing with that card is if you have it in your hand and they're not a deck that uses items, then it just gets mana zoned.
Yeah, because you always end up mana zoning some stuff anyways.
Yeah,
And the nice thing about it, you can play it in response to their card and just for 2 mana destroy it.
yeah,
Which you already spent 1 less mana than they did on it.
that's right. And I think the other thing with it is that people say it only works on level 3 or less items, so it doesn't deal with the red steel breaker. But blue control shouldn't have too much of a problem against red rush or red item, simply because of the fact that with magic ward creatures, it's difficult for them to get rid of other than via combat damage. And one, you'll be killing their creatures, and if they keep attacking your magical stuff with their hero will die. So, I mean, I most enjoy seeing Red Rush, but if I do see a Korean Red Rush, it's not always easy.
No, it's not. Speaking of magic word, which magic word creatures do you run? Do you run the 2-drop 1/2?
Yeah, I run, in terms of 2-drops, I run 2 of the 2-drop 1/2 and 2 Birds of Good Luck. Then obviously, other side Looter has Magic Ward, and I run 3 of them, I think. And then one of my favourite creatures in the game is the Master of Mind, which is just the basic.
Oh, it's so brutal.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best 4-drops in the game.
I think so, yeah.
Especially since, for some reason, 4-drops seem like the really weak spot on the curve in this game. It's like 3-drops, they come in early enough where their smaller stats don't really matter. And then if you have the time to play a 4-drop, you can play a 5-drop, which is usually a lot better. Except in the case of Masters of Mind.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think one nice thing with Master of Mind is that I don't particularly rate a lot of Blue's 5-drops. There are some that are amazing, granted. The Moon Witch on 33rd Floor, which is the 4/3 with Whirlwind, is hilarious in the right circumstance. The Moon Shadow Slaughterer, which is the 5-mana 3/3, and you can give it Stealth 3.
I've
That's
noticed it gaining a lot more popularity lately, and Stealth 3 is so unfair.
Yeah, because there's not that many things with 4 AP.
It's like
on the defense.
Honor on steroids,
Mm.
basically. If you don't have a spell to kill it and they have something in defense, you lose.
That's right. But I think the Mark IVs helps the Blue Tier 5 because it's just 3/4 is what Blue was missing in its Tier 5.
A lot of colors not named white have that problem.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, my Tier 5 is something that I'm playing around with. As I was talking earlier about Thanos, he runs more Tier 5 stuff than I do. And I think I run more Master of Mind. But as I said, I just pulled another Mark IV, so I'll have to tinker around with the deck a bit more. I used to run two of the Slaughterers just because Stealth 3 was so good, but now I'm having a bit of a dilemma with these Moon Witches and the Mark IVs. And I know that eventually...
Is the Moon Witch really good? Because on paper it doesn't seem that amazing.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, it doesn't look great, but when you actually use it, the Whirlwind 4 is really, really, really good. Because if you can put a Master of Mind on defense as a deterrent to something they do, and then the next turn you play the Moon Witch in defense, and you flip the Master of Mind into attack, and it's essentially giving you a 3/3 rusher. Or you can put the Moon Witch into attack and bring the Master of Mind forward, and then you just overload the attack zone. It's really nice with Hangman, and it's also really nice with Tatiana's new third ability, which is essentially flip a creature to the other zone for 3 mana.
Makes sense. So basically, early game as you're trying to stabilize, you play guys in the defense zone, and then once you got control of the game, Moon Witch lets you move them to the attack zone so you can finish off the opponent.
Yeah, that's right. And even late game, if they've got a little bit of threat on the front, you can play something in defense, but then you can play the Moon Witch, flip it into attack, and get that sort of sneak damage in, which can sometimes get you the win. So I think with the new set, it's changed up the Blue Tier 5, because even flipping a Clockwork Mark IV forward or backward, because it's a 3/4, is a big thing.
Well, I don't think you can flip the Mark IV because it's Whirlwind 4 and it's a 5.
Yeah, not the Mark. I confuse myself, but yeah, having all these options is something that Lou has to think about, because as I said earlier, my deck is currently undergoing some changes, and because I currently don't have any of the new Chimera 43, the Chimera Wall of Text, as I believe it's being called.
Yeah. Way too many abilities.
Yeah, I want to run 2 of them. I currently have none, so it's something that I'll have to look into. I've got 2 double agents at the moment, which is nice because a lot of the Japanese run Exalted Angels.
Oh, those
Stealing.
cards. What do you think of the Black Clockwork Destroyer, the 4/5 for 6?
I really like it. I run one. I only have one, so I only run one. But yeah, and I think again, tier 6 is for blue. We've got quite a bit of choice now. We've got the double agent, we've got the Black Clockwork, and now we've got the extra Chimera. I think again, because of these Japanese gimmick decks, if they're spamming ghosts and you can mana zone up to 6 mana, the Black Clockwork ruins them because it kills all your ghosts, and you've now got a 4/5.
Oh, that's an interesting option I didn't even think of, but yeah, I can see how that can be really useful.
Yeah, it saves a few people I know quite a few times just because they can play it, and that's it. The ghost deck's dead.
Yeah.
It's also
Playing as a black deck against Ghost, the best thing I can do is just sacrifice it to draw 3 cards.
You've got nice options, I suppose, in black, in that you can just sort of kill it yourself.
But I don't play that many, unfortunately. But yeah, it's an interesting way of doing it.
Some other things with blue I've seen. I've got a blue burn deck that I use for farming LC when I want packs. I've got some of the Praetos in there, which is the 3 mana returner creature that you have with 3 or less to your hand. And I can play that, return a ghost to my hand, and put the ghost in mana zone, which is nice. Or you can or sort of whirlwinding them forward with many whirlwind creatures, and then sacrificing them just by attacking stuff.
Okay, for blue, do you play Alchemist or Steam Armored Car? Or neither?
I used to run 2 of each, now I only run Alchemist. Reason being, playing it in attack for the 1 burn damage to the hero
seems really iffy.
Yeah, it's not something that you really need in blue control. Playing it in defense and doing 1 damage to something on the attack zone, fine, and having the extra AP, but as it's only got 1 HP, it's likely to die before they attack anyway, because everybody's splashing dual casting.
Yep.
So it's just better to run Alchemist because you can do 1 damage to the defense or attack then. Because, if you assume it's going to die anyway, it's essentially 3 damage for 1 uncounterable damage.
Speaking of dual casting, a lot of the blue decks I seem to play against don't actually run that card.
I've noticed.
I don't see it that often out of their decks.
Yeah, it's something odd I've noticed as well. But maybe that's because in blue mirrors I won't see it because I have Magic Board. But I have noticed it more in non-blue decks than I have in blue decks, which is odd because it's a great card in any deck essentially.
I think it might have to do with the fact that blue has access to Meteor Shower, because you're not really gonna splash that outside of blue, and they kind of fill the same spot.
I don't know that that's the case. I think there's a lot of times with blue that I want a dual casting. I've only got a Flame Blast or a Meteor Shower. If I've got board control and I've got 3 creatures out and they put 2 things out with 1 in defense, then I want my dual casting and not the Meteor Shower. So I run 3 dual casting and, as I said earlier, I think a mixture of Flame Blast and Meteor Shower that totals up to 3 or 4, just to give me that versatility, really, depending on what they play.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does your deck play against the Siron Rush with Behemoth? I know it's not as popular anymore, but it's still a deck that is pretty strong. I'm not sure why people completely dropped it.
The token spam, do you mean, or more sort of control using shift?
Well, the more balanced version, the one that has some token spam and then has real fat on the top end, because I found those to be the ones that seem to do the best, since token spam it's really easy to counter.
Yeah, I mean, personally I've not seen much balanced green lately. It's either been really, really basic level token spam, which things like Volcanic Eruption, or if you don't have that, Scream of Ghost will kill.
Do you play Volcanic Eruption?
Yeah, I used to play 1 or 2 Scream. Now I play just the 1 Volcanic Eruption and an Archsage. I should run 1 of each, but I don't know what to take out.
Archsage. It does seem like a good answer to them.
Yeah. Um, I like Volcanic over Scream, simply because it's 1 mana less, and in
Yes,
this age of
I'm
gift decks,
thinking of playing it
it's useful.
in my actually black deck over Mind's Desire because it's so much cheaper on life too.
Yeah, the only thing I like about the Mind's Desire is the pictures with the face palming vampire. Makes me laugh.
That is a funny picture, and the card is really good. Unless, but the thing is, there's so many decks that just try to burn you out these days with like all the rush creatures that taking 4 damage to destroy 4 creatures is not worth it.
No, I mean it works nicely in your deck because you've got your Bloodthirst to gain you back the life. But if you could do it without losing life, then
Yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately I only have 3 of the second heads. I need to get a 4th one. But that's for another day. Okay, so
Um,
how does your deck deal with the Aspire Rush?
for the most part, I deal all right with the Aspire Rush. I've got, as I mentioned earlier, to deal with their 1-drops. I've got my shards. I've got that trap if absolutely necessary. To deal with their 2-drops, I've got my 1/2s, which is useful. And if I hit 3 or 4 mana, then they tend to struggle because I can just drop Master of Minds and 3/3 beef and 3/4 stuff, and they can't get rid of it with Sacrifice the King or things like that because of the
Yeah,
magic ward. And it's dangerous for them to keep on attacking with their hero because I can I can either double agent and steal their attacker, or I can use Tatiana's new ability to shift it into attack and finish them off.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Korean Red Rush, the one that's the really really good ones, they're still tough. But
Yeah, they're all in suicide if rage quit the game if I don't kill you by turn 4,
yeah, those.
basically.
Um, but yeah, I think the Spire Rush is one thing I quite like seeing.
Okay. How about the black control decks?
I'd say they're 50-50. It depends on my draws. If they're running necromancies and I get my counter spells, it's not really a problem. If I don't get my counter spells, I'm in trouble. If, like your deck, I can maintain enough early board control to get in a lot of damage, I should be okay. If I lose it early, then I'm done. I think, yeah, with black it just tends to quite a lot be a luck of the draw for me.
And skill, like, I think the blue-black matchup is probably like the most skill intensive since both of us end up seeing so many cards that lack of the draw tends to kind of balance itself out.
Yeah, that's true. It is when I have blue-black matches, as long as there's not continuous Party of the Dead spam, I tend to enjoy them because they're mentally challenging and they're a good test of skill.
Okay. And would you recommend your deck to other players right now?
Um, I suppose it depends on what they want out of the game. If they want to be competitive at the top of the ladder, sadly these days it seems like you have to be running Mercy of Dawn. But if they want a deck that is fun to play, makes you think, and is enjoyable, then yeah, I'd say go for it. It is. You have to prepare to be frustrated though, because if you don't get the draw, then it can be quite tricky. You just have to you have to sit through quite a lot of damage before you eventually stabilize. But I mean, when you do stabilize, you tend to be fine. If I've stabilized before, even 1 or 2 health, and just sort of made a huge comeback. If you stabilize with this deck, then you tend to be safe.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see everyone next time, and hopefully I'll get other people to talk about their decks so we can get a good idea of how the metagame looks like these days. Goodbye everyone.